Hey everybody, it's Leo here, and today I'm going to show you how to make wool roll bread. At the inside is going to be a delicious chocolate and cherry filling. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm going to add to the recipe is going to be 2 cups of bread flour. Then next, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then after the sugar, I'm going to then add 1 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast, or you can call it instant yeast. Either way is fine. Then after I add the yeast, I'm going to add 1 room temperature egg. And I want to make sure that it is room temperature. And after I add my egg, I'm then going to add a 1/3 cup of lukewarm milk. It's going to be around 105 degrees. And after I add my milk, I'm going to do the same with 1/3 cup of lukewarm heavy cream. And then after I add my heavy cream, then I'm going to end up just mixing this on a medium-low speed. So mine has about 10 speeds. I'm going to put it on a 2. And then I'm just going to mix that all together until it starts to combine. And so I start off on a lower speed, and then I'm going to end up increasing the speed. But first, I'm just going to allow it to combine, and that's going to probably take about 6 minutes on the medium-low speed. And then once it all gets to be combined, I'm then going to add 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter that is at room temperature. And then once I get those added, I'm then going to mix it again on medium speed for about maybe 6 more minutes, until it gets to a point of where it is elastic and it's no longer sticking to the sides and it doesn't stick to my fingers. As you can see, I can push it, pull it, poke it, and it's going to be elastic and it's not sticking to my fingers at all, as you can see. So then once I've got that done, I'm then going to put it into an oiled bowl to proof, and I'm just going to put it into a ball shape. And then I'm just going to put it into this bowl, and then I'm going to cover the bowl and then allow it to proof. And that could take maybe an hour or so. It's really just going to depend on the temperature of the house that you're in, or if you have a proofing box. But you're just going to want to let it double in size regardless of what that time is going to take for it to happen. So then I've got a board here that I'm going to use to put the dough on top of it, and you can see it has doubled in size. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flour the board a little bit so that it doesn't stick when I'm trying to roll it out and cut it into pieces. So then I'm just going to turn it over and then just let the dough fall out of the bowl. And then I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit, but I'm then going to knead it some. And I'm just going to knead it for about a minute. And then that's going to allow it to then get to a point where when I cut it into pieces and roll it up, it'll then rise again. So I'm just going to knead it, and then once it has been kneaded, I'm going to form it into a ball, and then I'm going to flatten it, roll it out some, and then after I got it to a shape and size that I want it to be, I'm then going to then cut it into 5 sections. And so I want to make sure that my 5 sections are as even as possible. I'm not going to measure them by any means or weigh them, but I just want to make sure that they are as even as they can be. And then I'm going to take each one of those sections and then form them into a small ball. And then once they're formed into a ball, I'm going to do the same thing with each one of them. Get them into a ball shape and flatten the bottom a little bit, just shape it up a little bit, and then set it to the side. And once they're all done, I'm then going to just let them sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes to allow them to rest and proof a little bit more before I then roll them out. So I'm going to do the same thing with all of them and then cover them with plastic wrap, let them sit there for 15 to 20 minutes. And once they've sat there for about 15 to 20 minutes, I'm then going to take them, flatten them out some, and then I'm going to begin to then roll it out. And I'm rolling it out to make it long enough just to make my cuts and to be able to put in my filling, and then to be able to roll it up properly so that it increases to the proper size that I need it to be. So once I've got it rolled out to where I feel like it's good enough, then I'm going to then begin to make my cuts. And these are the cuts that you're going to see that's going to give you that wool roll bread appearance that you've seen. So I'm just going to go through this process. It can take a while for each one because the cuts are going to be pretty small for each one. And then I'm going to add my filling, which I told you is going to be cherries, which I'm using dried cherries that I chopped. And then I'm going to use some chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chips. And you could probably use milk chocolate too, either way. You could probably use any filling that you want to, but I thought it'd be good to use the chocolate and the cherries to give it kind of like a chocolate covered cherry on the inside, which is what it ends up tasting like. It's pretty good. So then I'm going to just roll this up, and then you'll see the end result. And I'm just rolling it up pretty carefully to make sure that I'm not having any frayed ends, because I want to make these as uniform as I can make them. And so I'm just going to roll each one of these, and I'm on my last one, and I'm doing the exact same thing with the cherries and the chocolate. And I'm going to go through the same process of folding over the sides, rolling up the ends, and then just kind of rolling it pretty tightly together so that it's all together and nothing is really separated. That way it all rises and looks the same in the end. And so you'll see this is what it looks like in the pan, and I've got them all in there, and I'm just going to let this proof for as long as it needs to until it's doubled in size. As you can see there, it's got to a point where it's doubled in size. So then the next thing I'm going to do is take some heavy cream, and I'm going to brush the top of it with the heavy cream, and I'm going to use this instead of an egg wash. And it's still going to allow it to brown. It's just not going to get as brown as if it were with an egg. And I don't want it to be extremely brown on the top, which is why I'm using the heavy cream. And so once that's done, I'm going to then put it into the oven at 340 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until it's golden brown on the top. And this is what it looks like when it's done. So as you can see, it's golden brown on the top. It's all done. It's pretty uniform. And the sides, you can see they're all done. They're all beautifully golden brown as well. And now I'm just going to break into it so we can see what this looks like. And you'll see it's still pretty hot. It's steaming. But you can see that on the inside, I've got the chocolate and the cherries. The chocolate is melted. It's giving that chocolate covered cherry appearance. And you can see the bread is really soft. It's breaking away pretty well. It's looks like it's perfectly proofed as well. And we're going to see just how soft it is. And you can see where I'm pushing it and I'm squeezing it together. It's bouncing back. It's really soft. It's very pillowy. And this is exactly what you want. And now you see how easy it is to make a delicious wool roll bread.